Hey guys, welcome back to Film Title. Today we'll talk about the most nauseating moments on Dr. Pimple Popper. Let's head into it. Number 1. Dr. Pimple Popper wrestles with a scrambled egg lipoma. Throughout the pandemic, celebrity dermatologist Sandra Lee, best known by her stage moniker Dr. Pimple Popper, has had no shortage of lumps and bumps to pop. She discussed her latest patient's treatment, which requires cutting into an orange-sized lipoma on her shoulder blade. In a YouTube video posted March 24, a lipoma is a fat-filled growth that develops between the muscle layer and the skin layer of a person. Lipomas usually grow slowly and are modest, with a diameter of around 2 inches. In one woman's situation, her lipoma had grown larger and more apparent over the course of 6 years, so she opted to have it removed. Although lipomas are not malignant, they can cause discomfort if they grow in certain regions, such as the base of the neck, according to Lee. In certain circumstances, removal may be beneficial. Dr. P began treating the patient by injecting a numbing solution around the affected area. She then used a surgical blade to cut through the lipoma center, revealing a lumpy and yellow fat deposit beneath the skin surface. Lee then dug into the incision with her fingers and the tip of her scissors. She also tried to push the growth out of the woman's skin by squeezing the outside of it. Lee noted in the video's description that lipomas are enclosed in a tiny sac beneath the skin surface, which allows them to pop out of the skin with one push. After a few minutes of struggling with the lipoma, a fat deposit broke the surface, which Dr. Pimple Popper was able to cut away. Despite this, she didn't obtain the entire lipoma because fibers under the woman's skin acted as netting, keeping the lipoma in place, according to Lee. Because of its difficult to remove nature, Lee referred to the growth as a nuisance and bossy as she squeezed and pushed around the skin. Dr. P was able to catch the last lump of fat with tweezers and remove it out of the skin, leaving a gaping hole 10 minutes later. She used surgical stitches to close the wound and advised the patient to limit her shoulder movement for the following 10 days. Lee also noted to the patient that her challenging situation was unsurprising, given that the skin on the back is often thicker, making lipomas more likely to become caught, as hers did. Number 2. Tracy and Stacy. Dr. Pimple Popper generally only sees one patient at a time, but on tonight's edition of her show, she treated fraternal twins who had the identical skin disease. Sandra Lee saw Tracy and Stacy from National City, California, after they both acquired several golf ball-sized lumps on their scalps. They said they initially noticed lumps about 15 years ago, and they've been happening ever since. "I just want a normal life," Stacy said. "I simply want to go out in public without being stared at." Stacy and Tracy decided to attend Dr. Pimple Popper together after their daughters advised them to get the lumps looked at for health reasons. Pillar cysts are the most frequent type of cyst, and they most commonly appear on the scalp. Pillar cysts affect less than 10% of the population and are usually non-cancerous. When keratin, a protein contained in skin cells, is removed from beneath the skin, it appears as a thick, white liquid. These tumors aren't inherited, according to Lee, which explains why the sisters were the first in their family to develop pillar cysts. Their identical genetics, on the other hand, could indicate that they have similar skin types, which, according to Lee, could explain why they both had the skin problem. Tracy, Stacy's sister, volunteered to go first. Dr. Pimple Popper began by injecting a numbing medication into each of the 3 cysts. She cut right through the core of the largest cyst behind Tracy's ear, which immediately ejected a grayish-white substance that looked like mustard. Lee was able to get rid of the rest before moving on to the next one, which had a more oatmeal-like texture, but erupted in the same way as the first. When Dr. P started treating Tracy's final growth, she remarked, "Brace herself for impact." Lee was able to successfully remove the cyst and sew all 3 up after even more spurting. Stacy was the next to go, and her cysts were a little more difficult to remove. This is due to the fact that some of them had opened and oozed over time. When the cysts healed after they had opened up, scar tissue formed on the inside of her skin. Lee described Stacy's growths as a little more like putty. Lee was able to quickly remove one of Stacy's 3 cysts in the center of her head. After numbing them, it caused a large hole in Lee's shirt, which he patched up because of their thickness. The other 2 proved more challenging, but Dr. P continued, squeezing out the yellow and brown insides with her fingertips. The final cyst even put on a show, squirting so forcefully that it splattered all over Lee's office walls. Lee sewed up Stacy's cysts and sent her on her way, just like she did with Tracy. Tracy explained, "Sisters who spray together stay together." This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.